I don't know. Sure. Cool. We're live, so everybody gets to see that starts the video. This is a really fantastic blockbuster way to start it.
I didn't know we were on. Sorry.
You know, that's what they say. They say you got to catch people like within the first 5 seconds. I think we did that.
Yeah.
With that discussion. Now, I was, a few of my friends that were listening last time. I mean, a few of our many listeners that were listening last time were, they thought it was a really good crop of interesting questions, and I finally just updated it so to let people know there was all the things that we talked about, which were generated by your questions, were everything from the stretching to training with neuropathy, and these were sometimes just brainstorming stuff. To various substances and their how beneficial they could be, like Anavar or Sustanon and things like that, and also new ones that I didn't even hear of before. So
again, ones that I didn't hear of before.
Yeah. So the more stuff that you guys ask us, the better, and also not just ask, but converse with us, the better this thing can be. But I just found it really interesting, and I was thinking a lot about it.
I thought it was really good.
I just thought about how difficult, as you said, how difficult it can be when, in theory, everything is simple when you want to just be healthy or, get stronger. But when you really have to dial in and put all these substances together to put a package together for the stage, man, I can see how that could be confusing at times. If but you've also said, and this is where I get a little bit twisted, right? Is it too much? Do people rely on it too much? And then it becomes this unnecessary stress.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly why I'm so anti-guru. I'm a coach too, but I am anti-coach to the point where the coaching overrides knowledge, your knowledge. So it's kind of like driving a car without knowing how to drive a car. And you're relying on the guy sitting next to you to tell you how to drive the car, but you're driving. So it doesn't make any sense. If you're the bodybuilder, you should know what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it, what it should be made of, what drugs to take, what supplements to take, how to take them, when to take them in combination with which ones. You should know all that. You shouldn't just be the guy who goes to the gym with a full stomach, pumps out a bunch of weight, goes home and waits for their coach to tell him what to do. And we are unfortunately living in that moment right now where Olympia competitor that I interviewed, and I've said this before because it's so outrageous, would literally sit home in the morning after he wakes up, send his coach a couple of pictures, and then sit there and wait to see what his next 3 meals are going to be.
Every time you tell that story, I still cannot believe it. It's so
unfathomable to me.
Me too.
It's just nuts. I mean, there is no way you should be a pro bodybuilder on the Olympia stage and not know what to eat. I mean, that's just nuts. So, but that is where we're at. So we're in an era now where the coaches, the gurus, are taking about as much credit as the bodybuilders. Hani Rambod goes out on stage and is being lauded along with his competitor when he wins the Olympia. What does he have to do with that? I mean, it's like, he was the coach. Well, how much coaching did you actually do that you get to go out on stage in front of the world to hold up the hand of the guy that you coached? It's what other sport does that? What other one? You can go to the Olympics and any sport. There is no sport on earth that does that. And to me, it just means that you are divorcing yourself 100% from the knowledge base required to be who you are, to be what you are. And it's my opinion. My opinion is that's crazy.
Right. And you listen, I think you have every right to say that. First of all, I want to say, hey, Margot from Twitter, I don't know why I can't respond to Twitter, but we see your comment. Thank you for chiming in, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
But okay, let me. What do you think that? What would and I'll just use him because you mentioned him. What would Hani Rambod say? Like why he goes out there? Like what is the reason?
this is no shade on Hani. Hani's a
Right.
great
I know.
coach.
You just
He's a
meant
good
that's
guy.
if you would have mentioned
Okay.
any name, I would have said that name, you know?
I'm just using him as an example because he's the most visual one because he has the most Mr. Olympias for clients. But
Right.
if I was, if you're asking me what I would do, I
Well, no,
would
no,
be
no.
the
I'm saying what is the what is the answer to that? Why do you go out there? Like what is and I guess we're putting words in his mouth here. That's why I'm just using his name because you brought it up. But let's just say it's somebody else. What is the reasoning behind, yeah, I'm going to go out there and be on stage with the winner?
it's obviously an arm of some form of marketing to his service or his company or whatever, but to me it takes away from the athlete. The athlete is the guy who suffered, absolutely suffered, probably at your hand, but the guy suffered, put his entire life on hold, did everything he was supposed to do. He deserves 1000% of the accolade for what he accomplished. The coach should get zero because the coach didn't do it. All the coach did was do this, take that, don't take that. So, and an extra set of eyes for how the guy looks, or what you
Right.
consult on, maybe what you should do, maybe eating too many carbs, you take them down, up the protein, whatever. I mean, it's definitely a relationship that goes towards building the champion, but the champion is the guy who does the work. That is why in no other sport on earth does the coach, the guru, whatever you want to call him, appear on stage to help the athlete accept his award. I'm sorry. I think that's just wrong.
All right. Well, double M. I just asked for one clarification here. Okay. He said Hani only attaches himself to top tier genetic freaks who would win without him. So I think he's saying that he's picking his clientele based on they would already win, and it makes sense to just to work with them. First of all, that doesn't seem like such a bad strategy to me. I would want to hitch my wagon to somebody who's going to already win. Makes my
Well,
job
yeah.
easier.
Well, look, I don't know how that whole machination took place, how he attracts those clients or gets them. I don't know where all that came from.
I think it's cologne. His cologne and his smile. I don't know.
The pheromones involved.
Exactly.
But I don't know, man. It's just I don't want to see that. I want to see the athlete.
Right.
To me, there is no room on that stage for the coach. There just isn't, and there shouldn't be, because what it does is it creates the illusion that this guy has a magic wand. I could get Hadi Chupin shredded on Snickers bars. I mean, there's no when you have a genetic freak like that, you have to be really stupid to fuck up his prep. I mean, you have to be a real idiot, and you shouldn't have any involvement with the guy whatsoever if you have to, you know, rely on his genetics to be your success, because that's really what it comes down to. All the guys that win the Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, Big Ramy, all of them, all of the modern Mr. Olympias are genetic. All of them are genetic freaks. All of them
Right.
are.
Well, of course,
So
everybody on that stage is, dude. I mean, like this
exactly.
is the top tier.
Why don't you go and get a 60-year-old postmenopausal woman and get her shredded for a show? Now I'll be impressed. You can go out on stage then. But to take a guy who would be Mr. Olympia no matter what, and I mean, at this point he's even got 1 and 2. So he's got Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin and C-Bum, I think. So I mean, how are they going to lose? What are you going to do to them? What could you possibly feed them in the last week that's going to make them lose? I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me.
Well, somebody who was it? It was sorry, going up. Oh, sorry about that. Dane says, you have any inside information? There's a rumor going around that a big name is going to drop out of the Olympia. I have not heard anything, but at the same time, I probably wouldn't be the one. I would probably be one of the last to hear it, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah, and I'd be second to last. So,
I would say that it's I can poke around. I mean, sometimes Roger Lockridge, who is he's he's on here sometimes poking around. He says hi. He's the guy that I feel like would know far more than I would. Or when Frank Sepe comes on, Frank's got a ridiculous amount of content. Yeah, I mean, so if we hear something, listen, man, we'll definitely toss it out there.
So so to these gurus and coaches that have this kind of power to you. You have created a business model that's working for you. You're making tons of money. You got lots of, exposure, accolades, whatever. You did a good job. Personally, I'm against it. I'm not against coaches. I'm just against how much credit they get for the athlete that's standing there on stage.
All right, Dane, he said RX Muscle and AJ Kelly, Robert are dropping hints. It's going to shock Olympia. Okay, I hate to say this. It is me. I am no longer doing the Mr. Puniverse. I'm not doing it. I've decided that I just can't go through with it anymore. Let's ask Frank. We'll ask Frank because Frank trains.
If any of us would know, Frankie would know.
Right. Frank trains with Juan Morel on Saturdays. Yep. Frank goes to Bev's all the time and runs into everybody, including Steve. So
really well. Yeah.
If there is some sort of a rumor, he's heard it. Unless John would know, the RX Muscle dudes, they're tapped in too, so they probably
I'm an RX Muscle dude, and I don't know. I know.
I know that, but you probably rely on the other folks that do a lot of the digging, right?
Dave Palumbo would be, the most. He's our Frank Sepe. I don't know over here. So as far as connections go, so if he doesn't know, if Frankie doesn't know, if Dave doesn't know, I sure as hell don't know. So that's where that's at.
Interesting that Dane says he thinks it could be Nick because he's not posting updates. Interesting because we did speak with Nick a while back. It was a few months back at this point, him and Steve Weinberger. Yeah. And he was, at the time, really dialed in, really seemed to be in good spirits. But as we, things change. So who knows? Hopefully not. Because people want to really see him.
Were any of the comments so far with respect to the coach thing? Where's somebody else. Where's our audience lie with this, or is it just me that's a lunatic?
No, Margot from Twitter. I'm not saying X. Okay, I'm holding out. I think it's a she said, "Amen." So true. And look, you've hit that drum before about how you think that. It's kind of what the society, right? We become reliant on whether it's technology or Google Maps. We can't read a map anymore. And now we can't even navigate ourselves in the gym or in the kitchen without having somebody reaffirm what we know is probably already true, which is, it's kind of sad that we're not even that confident or even willing to try.
Well, there's another side of that. If you're really going to rely on the guru, then really rely on the guru. Let's make it a team sport. You got the guru and the athlete, and you film them together training in the gym, and the guru is mapping out his diet, and he's got his calculator out, and he's figuring numbers out, and macros and cardio and drugs and supplements. He's play it up if that's what you're going to do. And then show, make the point, make the case to the public that the guru is absolutely equal to the athlete when it comes to competing. So if you're going to do that, then okay. But if you're going to assume that the coach or the guru is a behind the scenes kind of guy, then keep them behind the scenes. There is no place on stage during an award ceremony for the coach. Because if that was true, then I think the guy who painted on the tan should be out there. The guy who cooked the food should be there. The guy who did the deep tissue massage should be there. The guy who did the drug dealer should be there. They should all be there because they're all part of it.
So it's like a winning best movie. Everybody comes out that was involved in the.
Well, like in motorsports, okay. I'm a motorcycle racing fanatic. So yes. You got the rider, you got the bike, and you got the team. Okay, sure, the rider is the star, but everybody's involved. But on the podium, it's just the rider. Right. That's it.
Right. So that makes sense.
That's the way it should be.
That makes sense. What was I going to say? I don't know what that means. Margot shredded that is. Okay. Well, I don't know. Anyhow, somebody mentioned in here, I think it was Jerry Skeptic, said, Hadi Chopin has shit genetics and just takes a lot of drugs and trains really hard, or very average genetics.
You don't know that. I mean, I mean, genetics is not just how you look. Genetics is also how you process foods, chemicals, drugs, supplements. It's the genetic element is absolutely critical to this. And the only guys that are winning the Olympia are genetically gifted people. Well,
Right.
and you can look at their physique and say he's got weak this and weak that and weak this, but genetics also plays a role in drive, determination, fortitude, guts, suffering, pain management. That's all genetic too. So, you can't rule. The genetic factor is the most limiting element of any competition in any sport. It's the genetics. From Michael Jordan to Hadi Chupin, it's all genetics.
Mm-hmm.
So the coach, his job is to take those genetics and do the best that the guy can with it. And
Right.
and that's it. That's it. So, we've perverted this element into, I think, something dreadful. So
Yeah, but not to say
everybody
that
get mad.
hard work doesn't play a role, right? Because we know that people, I know people that have amazing genetics and don't lift a weight and
Right.
look in pristine condition, which is why I hate them and I hate their guts. But there's also people that just can outwork somebody, right? I mean, that was when I played sports. That was the way I always thought of it: is if I worked harder, even if I wasn't necessarily the most talented, they would find a spot for me somewhere, and then that's
Right.
kind of what I went with. And I wish that kind of transferred over after sports because now I feel fucking lazy and I don't do enough because I have nothing to gun for. But I do get it. And look, I think that everybody on that stage has an insane work ethic. I don't think you can just attribute it to drugs at all. I
No.
think that all that does is just kind of help refine or build upon what's already there. But you can't listen. How many times have you seen people take creatine, for example, and then not lift the weight, and all they do is get puffier? They
Right.
don't
Right.
really. They
Puffy.
don't, so yeah, it's the same thing. So
Yep.
yeah, there was that. What was the other thing that I don't know. Now I'm all like wondering about this if this rumor is true. Oh, there's Frank. We can ask
No,
him right
Frank.
now.
There he
Frank,
is.
What's
You
up?
can ask him
we're
now.
putting you on the hot seat right away.
Immediately.
So Double M says he's heard a rumor that somebody big time is going to drop out of the Olympia and it's going to shock the world. And he said he thinks it's Nick because he hasn't been posting any updates. I said this, I don't know. John said, I don't know. And we said, if anybody would know, it would be Frank. But that's why we're asking you on the hot seat.
I don't know.
What a buildup.
I had a feeling you didn't know.
What a buildup and what a letdown.
There you have it, Dane.
There you have it. Nobody knows.
And he also says, Double M chimes in with, what do you guys think of Samson's look at the France Pro? I think he looked fantastic. But my one question is, what did he look like at the France Pro? Because I didn't see.
I did. He looked amazing.
Now Chad on the road says he heard it's Andrew Jacked. He thinks that's who's falling. Oh my goodness. Look at all this. Listen, let's start a bunch of swirling rumors because none of us know. So
That's our sport into a T. If you don't know, start a rumor.
yeah, exactly.
I heard it was Kenny Jones.
Can you?
I
So-
don't know. Arnold?
Oh my God.
Well, that's nice. I said, look, I think the announcement is Phil Heath is going to pull an Arnold from 1980, show up,
Take the
and then
sweater off.
get in there. Yeah. Or who knows? It could be Frank. It could be Frank Sepe making his triumphant return to the stage to wipe everybody out.
You could see in my T-shirt right now that I'm not. Yeah.
I can't believe you said Kenny Jones. That is so funny. For those of you who don't know who Kenny Jones is, he is, what would you say, Frankie? He's a 10-time Mr. Olympia in his head, right?
You know, I've always had like a good relationship. He was a good poser, man. He posed forever for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
He was always in. I always say him because it's like that guy was always in every show. Like I know.
So I wish Frankie would get every one of his words in through the microphone. Why is he choppy?
Why am I choppy?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Are you asking me? You want me? Okay.
Matt, you're the
That
tech
Aren't
guru.
you
I'm
our
asking
tech
you.
guy?
well, am I? I don't think so because I can't figure out half the shit. I can't figure out how to.
Listen, Zach, I
It
need
drives
you
me
to
nuts.
write the editorial. I need you to plan the photo shoots. I need you to put them up on Instagram. I need you to tag them, and I need you to sell them. You got to do it all, bro.
Zlotsy or whatever 77 says we should give up loser. You got 16 other losers watching you globally. Well, are they other losers or are they like are we the losers
Do they
or are
spell
we the
as good
losers?
as you? I mean, yeah, really.
Listen, fine, I get it. I think I don't think you should watch or listen. I totally get it,
You
but
should
this
go away right now,
or you could
immediately.
just ask something and contribute to the conversation,
You
which
know,
would be I know
either way, just quit
crazy.
being a dick. But if
Yeah, I
that's
mean it's
if you want
fine.
to
Look,
be a dick, you're doing a great job. So
yeah.
props all around.
The crazy thing is we get paid to do this.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like this is
You
like we
don't.
do it as part of our job. So, so 16 is like if we hit 20, God, we're gonna get a bonus.
So
True, man.
Frankie, I got to tell you my favorite Kenny Jones story that you probably already know. He was a karate, black
Yeah.
belt. I think three or four tip black belt. And there was I used to live in Fort Lauderdale by me, and I used to train in the same gym, so I saw him all the time. One evening, I was meeting some people at a famous bar in Fort Lauderdale called Elbow Room. It's right on the corner of Las Olas and the ocean, and it's 2 floors. On the upper deck, they have like a balcony. Kenny Jones is up there and gets into a fight. The next thing you know, the bar clears out, and there are literally bodies flying over the balcony. Kenny's like kicking and punching. These guys are like the movie. They're literally
It's like John
flying
Wick.
over the railing and landing on the tables downstairs. It was absolutely hysterical. Because Kenny's, 5'1" and a $130, right?
Beating everybody up.
Beating everybody up.
All right. Taylor Sharp has a question. Taylor says, "Why are we seeing so many open bodybuilders take time off from competing? Don't they have obligations to their sponsors?" I asked Taylor who they're talking about specifically, but wouldn't that be a case by case thing? Like, Frank, you've had many brand deals and partner deals. You have probably certain responsibilities, but are you able to like what? Okay, if you have one and you say, "I'm hurt, can I do this instead?" Or they're probably going to be like, "Sure, Frank, whatever you want," right?
The way I used to write the contracts for metrics. So they would have the ability to do a show. Like you'd have to do one show in the contract. In a contractual 12 months, you'd have to compete one time. However, if they won, say they won $200,000, they would match the prize money of that.
Wow.
So if or whatever it may be, and certain competitors had tiers. So if they came in first, second, or third, they would match the prize money. They would pay for their event. They would pay for whatever it may be. If they did not compete, how do you give away? Say they were going to compete in their 10th month. You're not going to recoup 10 months of the money back from the contract if they didn't compete, right? So that never went. That went over like a lead balloon, right? Like, John, if you signed a contract in January and you were supposed to compete in October, and then all of a sudden you're contractually, have not fulfilled your end of the bargain, and you're like, okay, now you're fired. They're like, cool. I'm not going to get paid for
I just skated for a year.
December.
Yeah. or the guy, didn't take it seriously. Now it's contest time, and he gets on stage, 57 weeks out. So it's
that's been a
looks
case
terrible.
where people there's a kicker where if you did compete, you automatically get into a second term. So if you competed, it kicks. So some of these guys, were coming out of shape, step on stage because
They get another year. Wait till you see me next time.
But it's different now because think about it. If they're going to compete or if they're not going to compete, they're still going to be up on social media. And I
Right.
think the
Yeah.
social media is driving that point bigger than what the competition
Look
is.
at Sam Sulak. That's a great example. The guy never
Yeah.
competed, probably never will compete, and he's a social media bodybuilding superstar.
Hey
Yeah.
man, listen, I think that's a really good point, Frank, that there's multiple ways to get out in front of people now, and maybe if that person doesn't really want to compete, they don't really have to if they can say, "Look, I'm just going to reach as many people if I go to this event and wear your shirt, or I do this podcast and wear your, your clothing or apparel." So that's a good point. But I'm still
Yeah.
curious as to who that person was talking about. Like, I don't do people do that? Like, who gets taking off from competing? I mean, if people are just doing the Mr. Olympia or the Arnold, the big ticket shows, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a case by case, because if, let's say, John and I owned Frank and John Protein Company, and we just got an up and coming bodybuilder who just turned pro, and he qualified for the Olympia, but we know as a brand that he's going to come in 15th or 16th in the Olympia, and he comes to us and he goes, "Hey, I really think I want to take the year off and I want to compete." And as a former competitor and as a businessman, I say, you know what? That's a really good idea. Why don't you take this way you can come at your best.
Yeah,
So it's a case by case basis, I think. Like,
I agree.
right? I mean, what
Frank,
do you have to?
in your travels, when you've had people come to you, has there ever been anything that you've thought was like just way too much to accept? Meaning, like the obligations were like way more involved than what you were being paid for, and you were like, you know what, I'm not doing that.
When you're starving and you're a
Yeah,
bodybuilder and you're
yeah,
not getting money, and
yeah.
then I mean, I remember one of the something I was metrics. I did 30 something weekends of travel and everything back in the day, but you're going all over the world. You're doing things you're not really caring. You're in your
Yeah.
20s. It's like
Yeah.
you're getting paid. You're meeting fans. It's awesome, but um I've heard about contracts that are very, very, tight, like where you'd have to compete 3 times a year,
Mhm.
and you have to
Yeah.
do this, and you have to do a certain amount of appearances, and one of the things was you have to do appearances during the contest time that you're there, and they're like, "I'm trying to get ready for a show, man. I'm trying to
Right.
get on stage. I got to go to the booth for 2 hours."
Yeah.
Like your cortisol levels are everything at these events, and like, can you imagine now you're stressed out, you're and you got to go So I mean, it's a case by case basis. So it depends on the person too. Social media changed the game.
Yep.
These people are
Yeah.
their own brands. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point, Frankie, because I worked with Rich Gaspari for a long time, and the guys that worked for him had a lot of requirements. He worked, if he was paying you, he was working you. So store appearances, contest appearances, booth appearance, all of that shit was baked into the cake. Now with social media, that kind of stuff is really secondary compared to the following and the likes and the engagement that the athlete is going to get through social media. It's far more advantageous than how many store appearances he makes,
Yeah.
or any stuff like that, right? So it's a different
Well,
landscape now.
this is how it's changed. Like, okay, you have to make 12 appearances, 1 appearance a month. Now the contracts are written differently, where it's you need to put up 1 post a week, two
Right.
stories.
Hmm.
We're going to send you the product.
Hmm.
Take the product. Now we're going to need product integration in a video of some sort. Then you have to do a call to action. Now we need a workout video of you taking the product before you train, take it
Hmm.
after. If you're training clients, if you're a trainer or something, please get 4 different body types that can resonate with our demographic. Here they are listed. Blah 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 blah. Please wear a tank top. Like, please do a live. It's completely different.
Hmm.
Oof. I mean, but just rattling that off, it's still work. It's just a different type of work, right? Because you still have to, you got to shoot it, you got to edit it, you got to plan out your day, you got to make sure you're, getting all those boxes. And I'm sure you mail it in, then you're gonna be called out. Like, hey, dude, what the hell? We're paying you. You got to put some effort in here.
There's also the brand ambassadorships that are now really popular. I know one guy who made over 200K being a brand ambassador in a year. It just depends on how motivated and how hungry you are and how creative you are, that you can put ads together, create an army of disciples that are going to go out there and help you promote. It allows you to think outside the box, go to the beach, hand stuff out. I mean, do things that are normally not done, because a brand ambassador, the sky's the limit. You can make as
Yeah.
much money as you could possibly imagine, depending on how much effort you put in. And that right there is the great motivation, because rather than being told you have to do 7 appearances, 4 posts, this and that, then you leave it up to you. Look, you can make X% a month, depending on how much product you're responsible in selling. That absolutely removes the ceiling. You can make as much money as you want doing it that way. And I think that's a big advantage we have today that we never had before, because the social media creates the reach.
Yeah, it's affiliate programs.
Right.
I mean, look, you used to have to
Totally.
travel to wherever you had to go, and then get on a plane, go to the store, get a hotel, go into the store, spend the day at the store, and then come home, whatever. You get a per diem. So the companies were paying that. Now think
Right.
about it. You're going to the gym, you're setting up a tripod, or your
Yeah.
friend's holding the camera. You're going there to work out anyway, and they're like, "What
Yeah.
do we got to do, Joe? Oh, we got to shoot, this pre-workout. How do you want to do it? I'm gonna stand on top of the bench and I'm gonna drop it in your mouth like this. Nah, brother, that's stupid. Why don't we have somebody push it out on a cart and then serve it to us like a butler kind of a thing? Nah, that's not cool. Like, this is what's going on. Like, what's gonna resonate with or what's gonna get some views? Like,
Mhm.
unless they're having extraordinary physiques or they're really good looking, like, you have to think outside the box of how you're going to get those people to order this product,
Right.
because no one's listening to science.
No.
No one. You listen to the science of this thing.
No.
No.
No. And that's a really good point, because it's a popularity contest. So
Yeah.
you take a guy, let's use Sam Sulak again. He's going to hold up a bottle of whatever he's taken, right? And how many millions of people are going to see that
Yeah.
versus me holding up the same bottle? Nobody's going to see it. So there's a tremendous advantage to building your social media following as it relates to product endorsement and contract capacity for a person that's would normally have to compete, have to do all of that stuff to get to the same place. Today you don't have to do that anymore. You just have to be popular.
But is it any
No.
different than any other celebrity endorsement, right? Like when somebody is pushing some Target brand cosmetic, it's like they're probably not using it, but it's it's the same stuff.
You know what it is? Like, what's gonna make you stop and look? Like, I looked the other day, I was putting stuff up for Muscle and Fitness Hers, and it was a 75-year-old woman deadlifting, and she had some serious weight there. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like, I was
Right.
watching, I'm like, look at her, that's inspiring. Like, and I was like, if she put up, I take black cohosh, or I do phosphatidylserine or something, like she was taking it, I would be like, oh really? Like, I would listen to her. You know what I mean? Like, that's
I'll take
interesting
it
to me.
too.
Yeah, like, collagen, or you see a guy, or he's like, I'm 65 years old, and he looks like he's 30, and you're like, what did he do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but if I see some dude with big arms and he's like, I'm taking turbo whatever, this or that, or night whatever, and I'm like, it really doesn't. I really won't stop.
No.
I don't know, unless, so it is the stuff that, like, they put out that's outside the box that makes you stop and then look at the product. So it has to be something different.
Yeah, that's also what makes you stop on social media now, because there's so much, there's so much on there that you have to do
Yeah.
something to stand out, which is why, John and I were talking yesterday or 2 days ago about was streaking a thing with you back in the day? Like people that would go streak and like, whether it's like
There was that girl at the baseball league. I forgot her name. It was a blonde girl. Yeah, she used to do it all the time and run, and There was actually the Jet game 2 years ago. Somebody did it, and they tackled this guy. I'm like, he's streaking across. I'm like, imagine a security guard he's got his coffee, and he's like, all right, here we go, the Jets, and he's got to go tackle some friggin' drunk
Yeah, I know.
naked guy, tackle him to the ground, hold him there. Like that wasn't in his job description, was it?
Dude, that's what we were saying. But like that's what people would do at the back in the day to get I
Yeah.
guess they still can to get attention, you know? Like that was it. It's like I'm gonna take off my clothes and run through this huge,
Well,
huge stadium.
look, we're going to we go to multiple events, right? And when you have speakers there, how many people are actually listening and to what they have to say and really taking it to heart, or you know what I'm saying, or they're not looking down on their phones when these people are talking. Like think about it. You go to an event, an expo, and they're like, next up is speaker so and so on, hypertrophy. And you're like, okay, how long are you going to sit there and listen to this?
I want to
Yeah,
go
I
back to
know.
the streaking for a second. So a girl, like in the baseball game, right? She's got to take
Yeah.
her clothes completely off and run across a baseball field with 80,000 people in the stands to get some recognition. Some recognition. Then you get the Hawk Tua girl that talks about spitting on an erect penis, and she's 100,000 times more famous overnight, and she didn't have to even take her sock off. So, you know, social media has completely changed everything.
Well,
So we got
what
to
about
run
the
with
what about the people who are really legitimately good singers? And then you have the American Idol cast-offs, like that guy, she bangs,
Yeah,
yeah. And he's
yeah.
got like millions of people are liking all his videos, and then the person who's actually trained their voice and they can sing, they got like 13 likes, including their grandma. It's
I
like
know.
it's, there's it's not
it.
fair. There's
Yeah.
no,
No.
it is what
No.
it is.
It's
What
not
is that
fair.
guy's name?
William Hung.
There
William
you go.
Hung, right? She bangs, she bang. Yeah, that was it. Wow, what a song! What a beautiful ballad that was.
my my dog's walking around here licking his paw. What's up, buddy? He's hurt his paw. That'll cost me about 1,200. How you
Yep.
doing?
Somebody on the chat was talking about synthol. I'm
Great.
not really. Let's see. I still don't get the use of it. I know you've explained it to me before, John, and I think it went over my head. I'm pretty sure I just nodded my head and said I understood.
It's
But
a greasy subject.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, okay. Can you kind of back up and do the basics with me one more time so I can understand what it is, why it's used, and if it's even beneficial?
Not.
If you took a chicken drumstick, okay, and right, a chicken drumstick, and you injected 5 cc's of oil into it, what would happen to the chicken drumstick?
It would swell up.
Exactly. So replace chicken drumstick with calf. Okay, so there you go. It takes up
All right.
space in the muscle and it makes it look bigger.
Now, for the intermediates,
Right.
what's the difference between a cycline and synthol?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. That's a tough one. So,
I
yeah.
don't know. I have no idea.
Well, here's the answer. A cycline is an irritant. So you inject in cycline and irritate the area and it draws fluid and swells it up. Whereas, and that's pretty much subcutaneous. Whereas synthol is in oil in the muscle. So you're actually taking up space in the muscle and making it expand. So one's an irritant, one's a space filler upper. That's a good,
you
that's
ever
a
hear
good
the stories of
scientific term for you there, filler upper.
Filler
filler
upper.
upper? Do you ever hear the stories of people shooting their penis with this stuff?
Oh yeah,
No,
man.
I have not. That doesn't seem
Well,
like that.
the thing with this, I can only imagine in your Johnson, because if you were to put a cycline in your back, for example, you'd need probably 150 syringes full of cycline, to swell it up. So relegate that down to the penis, and I would say probably 10, 5 on each side. Okay. that's like, just go get Caverjack. I mean, it's way easier, you know.
Oof. Like a billy
Either
Uh,
club
way,
for a
sticking
wiener.
you
a
know,
needle in your wedding
let
tackle was kind of
let's
tough.
not let's not put anybody on blast, but back in the late 90s, a couple of bodybuilders came back and their calves were noticeably way better than when they were in their prime. Was that from a implant, or is that from a sickling, or is that from, like, what do you think? What was the best way? Because when you're, I'm not even gonna say it, but you know what we're talking about. But
Yeah,
it just looked like a swollen mass with no definition in it.
I think that was an implant, to be
Was
honest
it?
with you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so, because they had them removed later.
It's
So
interesting because when you're tall, the insertion is all the way here, and then the
right,
bone in your foot is like there's
yep.
no muscle this way.
I
There's your
feel left
foot.
out because you
Looks
guys
like a
know
lollipop. It
you
looks like
guys
a
know who you're
Tootsie
talking
Roll.
about, and I don't. I feel like you both know, but you're
We could
not
be talking
saying
about many people.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give you a name who admitted it. So Flex Wheeler, at the '98 Olympia against Ron, he was loaded with synthol. He admits it. Yeah. So he injected his biceps, his delts, his triceps. So he totally admitted it. I know several top Mr. Olympia competitors that will admit to it. So I mean, it's a real thing, and it's one of those things that if you do it right and you know
it.
how to do it and you do it right, it's barely perceptible. It looks good, i.e.,
Okay.
Well,
Flex Wheeler. So if you do it poorly and don't do it right, it looks terrible, and we all know who those guys are.
Well, that's what
so
I was
I'm
going to
gonna,
ask. Is what did Flex Wheeler say about his look when he was using that, and what about some of the other people? Like, did they? What was it? Just like did it drastically differ?
It's definitely a noticeable difference. Absolutely, yeah,
you put too
Man.
much in, you're gonna explode.
yep,
That's the problem. Seriously, there's videos of people's arms
yeah.
exploding on it and stuff, and
Jesus.
there's like the funny thing. There's I don't know, the guy from Pakistan or something, but he has no delts, no chest, and then he's got these freaky giant big arms, and he's standing in the middle of, like, the. It's like, what the. He just
And it's
used.
all right. It's like the color of raw liver too. The muscle.
Oh,
It's like
it
all
looks.
irritated and red and swollen.
Can't be healthy. You
No.
know what's not healthy, Zach? So
What's that?
I went to Burlington, that discount place.
The Coat
Burlington
And
Factory.
Coat
It used to be
Factory.
Burlington Coat Factory,
yeah,
right? Is
now,
it
but
still
now
called
it's like
that?
it's a total discount place, right? So I was
Oh, all
passing.
right.
It's right next to Whole Foods. So I go in there, and I'm like, I could use some razor blades, and there's a pack of razor blades. They're like $4.99. Look cool. I was like, wow, these are usually expensive. I used it today. You can see my forearm. It's all red. I cut
Oh,
my chest.
oh
Dude,
man.
I cut my chest. I cut this. Yeah, I saved $6. I'm like irritated. My whole skin is irritated. I'm like, what the
Oh
hell, man?
man, dude. Next time you got to go for the brand name. You got
Well,
you got to do
well,
it.
if it depends how politically motivated you are. So I was using Harry's razors for a while. Then they came out with this LBGDQP, LMNOP, MOUSE shit, and that shit turns me off. If you want to sell a product, sell a product. I don't want to hear politics attached to my product. So I boycotted them, and I went to this, American made, veteran owned, the whole. It checked all my boxes. I get the razors. You couldn't cut butter with this shit. I mean, same as Frank, irritation, bumps, everything.
Yeah, it's
Like,
horrible.
fuck, you know.
Did you think you were going to turn gay if you used the
Yeah.
razor
What was the
that way?
problem? Like, yeah.
I don't know. I just worried about. I didn't want to support him. So
Oh my goodness.
Would you rather use the synthol, or would you rather use the?
I would rather use the irritant.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
bullshit, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, so is it just does it feel like razor burn like all over? I mean, obviously not the cuts, but that right there.
Yeah, it feels like razor burn,
Oh,
and it's
that's so-
there. I should have known. What's the catch? There's 6 refills. The razor blade, and the plastic probably costs more than the whole presentation cost. They must be like one blade instead of like, Gillette's like 5 blades.
Yeah.
This must what the cavemen used to shave like.
And
Dude, Frank's first the first thing that should have tipped it off is he had to blow the rust off of it before he and then
then you read the fine print: 100% recycled razor blade.
Yeah, they have everything at these stores, these discount stores. You can buy chicken and a canoe in the same aisle. It's so bad, these places.
And a generator. 'Cause,
Where I'm buying wedding presents. Where are you? Yeah, well, the candlestick, the generator, or chicken in this aisle. What do you
You know
think we
what?
should get?
You know what stores like that? You ever heard of Lidl?
I was there yesterday.
You can buy a lawnmower, a cucumber,
What?
and a shawl. In one place.
Lidl. I've never heard of that.
It's a
Yeah,
German chain. They have everything.
I get Minute Maid 0 sugar lemonade there and mix it with tequila.
Ooh.
So they have it there. So I go in there and it's like $2.50. So I go in there.
I like going to the dollar store and nothing is $1.
No,
No.
it's $1.49.
Yeah, exactly. Frank, first One Shot wants to know, did you shave dry? Like, did you use shaving cream or gel or anything?
Exactly, right? No, I actually, same exact thing I would do.
Oh, man.
I was like, I was starting to get a little werewolfy. I put, in the shower, you put shaving cream on, broke out the brand new razor shaver. I cut myself. This is the worst of the cut.
Jesus.
Let me see. It's like I got hit like by werewolf.
It's like
And
you
then I
got jumped,
more
yeah.
I wonder how much of our female contingent now is imagining Frankie in the shower shaving his arm.
But no, I did the same thing as I usually did. It's just I should have said it says POS on the back of the wrap. Piece of shit razor.
I got to check those stores out.
Plenty of shaves.
They do listen. They do have good stuff in there. But it's like when a deal's too good to be true. You're like,
Yeah.
wow,
Mhm.
this is one of those cases.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit. Oh, man. Oh, man. Let's see. What else we got here? Anybody got throw out a topic? Because we'll keep going on this. I'll keep talking about this all day. Okay, what do you got?
I booked my flight.
Oh, good.
All right. Frank is officially going to be there, even though he was probably already going to be there, but now it's official.
I'm going to the Olympia. Yes, I'll be there on Wednesday.
Nice.
Wednesday night.
All right.
I'll be there
Awesome.
for meeting one Wednesday.
All right.
I'll be there
there Thursday. Frank and I will also be at Strong New York in Manhattan this weekend. We don't really know the time we're going to be there. We haven't even figured it out.
We'll be there. Knowing Zach and I's MO, we'll be there 90 minutes.
Yep.
220 max.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
We just whatever the event is, we know how to do the whole event and make it worthwhile. And you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be there the whole time, but it's going to be a good event. So if you're in New York City, go to Strong New York. Go to the Strength Club New York City website or Instagram. You can find all the information. But yeah, we'll be there doing some interviews, some podcasting possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring.
They got some good sponsors there. Kenny Santucci's a good dude. We had him on. That's right. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, we had him on.
Yeah, no, he is a good dude. I'm glad that. Look, I hope it's a big success. Anybody that's in our orbit that is cool with us, I obviously hope for the best, and that's why Frank and I are going to move tickets. That's why, because obviously,
put asses in the seats.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be like, "Hey, it's Frank and that other guy."
With the Olympia, I just got another schedule. I'll be doing live advertising in the booth for some companies.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
What are you gonna do? So, what does that entail? Are you just gonna are you interviewing people? Are you gonna be tasting the product? Are you gonna be just what do you do?
I believe Dark Sport. they have the best booth at the Olympia. They made a bar,
Oh,
like
that's
a
cool.
lounge bar.
Wow.
There was like 70 people in there, like people drinking, DJ, Dorian Yates was in there. I was like, so we're live doing they're launching whatever they're launching, like whether it be a new outfit or, whatever they have going on. And they have they got like 15 IFBB athletes in there, like, so this year, I believe they have a live tattoo artist there.
Wow.
Oh,
So,
sheesh.
That's kind of
which
cool.
I don't know, but I
I'll
believe
get
that's
one.
at the same time as prejudging. So 12. I think I'm going in there at 12 to 12:30 or what have you, but I'll be in there. You know what it is? Like I go to these places. I know everybody. So it's just hanging out with people that I know. It's not like
Yeah.
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
was if I was a corporate guy, I'd be like, oh well, we're going to the dark sport, but this is an objective. Are you going to release this?
Right.
So tell me, Jeremy,
Yeah.
when you're coming out with the new gear, friend? Like it's like
Oh my God. That sounds so corporate.
The problem is,
they're
honestly,
like-
that sounded
they're
so
like-
similar to every fucking person I've heard go do those. It's like, you can tell
so
that Frank's heard it all.
Why did you come up with the idea of the wolf? It's like I'm in there. I'm like, you want a drink? Hell yeah! What's up? Where's the shit coming out? Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I will
One
say,
thing I
Frank
want to
is,
do with you guys in Vegas, I think would be really fun, is take one of those strip walks with me with the camera. So let's film us walking down the strip, and we're going to talk to all of the weirdos on the strip and talk to them about
bring my
bodybuilding.
GoPro.
You know,
No, I want to ask him the most important question. I would say, what out of all the amazing legislation that has been passed from the President's Council on Physical Fitness, what's the favorite piece of legislation? You just name one.
One. Well, I know that. No, that was Nancy Reagan, right? When she said say no to drugs, was that
yeah,
part
say
of
no,
her?
just say no. Yeah, that
Just
was
say
Nancy.
no.
Yeah.
Tear
That, was,
down
that,
that,
that, that
wall.
worked.
Tear down that wall. I remember that. Is that part?
Yeah, I do too.
Well, that actually happened. Just say no never happened.
He's one of the greatest presidents of all time, Ronald Reagan.
No, what happened was the girls watching Nancy thought she was talking about sex. So just say no. That's where that came from.
But then
they
George,
messed that up.
George Michael came out with "I Want Your Sex," the whole that taboo song, which got the advisory, like the little tag on the CD.
Caution. Yeah.
Yeah, caution. Have you been following P. Diddy, Zach?
I have a feeling it gets worse and worse. Now 120 more people have some allegations. Oof. Good
Is that
Lord.
guy ever going to see the light of day, man?
He's
I
going to
don't
get
know.
killed. They're going to kill him.
It's pretty bad. I mean, again, I haven't even read through all that stuff, but like some of it's really disturbing,
Very disturbing.
What allegedly happened with Jeffrey Epstein dying in prison, allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
I mean, but there were no, at least I don't know, but there were not as many videos that the government already has in their possession. So aren't these people already screwed? Like, because the government has the hidden videos, so all these celebrities and stuff. I keep seeing pictures now of all these people at the party with P. Diddy, all these celebrities now. So I want to see some of these. They're leaking a lot of these videos. I heard. I can't. I want to see who's involved. Keep seeing
Yeah,
like the
me
same
too.
names pop up. A lot of these people are billionaires or like household names too.
Me too.
Well,
man.
here's the problem with that. You could have nothing to do with
Yeah.
what Epstein did or Diddy did or didn't do. But there's a picture of you talking to them, and that automatically puts you into the scumbag column. And that's just really, unfortunate. Excuse me, and not fair because, just because you get to pick your picture taken with the guy doesn't mean you participated in all that, but you're guilty by association because of, society. So you could have a picture of Kamala Harris with P. Diddy, and then all of a sudden you're going to get 100 rumors, and all she did was take her picture. I don't know if any of that's true, but
It's true.
that's
There is a picture of her with him.
that's what I thought.
But a lot of
Well,
people go to the parties. There's different levels to the party, right? There's the white parties, like everyone dressed in white, everyone goes. But then
Right,
it's I guess the after hours or the freak out party. Now, so if you were at the main party, it doesn't mean you went to the freak out party.
right. Or you
yeah.
didn't go to door number 3. You only went to door number 1. So it's you don't
Do
know.
you,
No one knows. No one knows.
do you think Zach would be so wasted from the white party that he would stumble into the freak out party by accident?
I'd be slipping on all the lube and just like taking a dive. Like, sorry, guys.
You'd be slipping
In
one
and
of those
out, right?
1,000
Just
bottles of
make an
olive oil.
appearance, slide in, and
Anyway.
slide back out the door.
Somebody
You know what?
asked, oh, sorry, just the Real Report wants to tell us that we're terrible and that he asked why people should watch. And I don't know the answer. I mean, the answer is we like to talk to whoever is in chat and we like to just BS about anything. But that's it. I can't think of a reason for it. But he likes you, Romano, but he doesn't like Frank and he doesn't like me. So,
Well,
I mean, my day is ruined.
we're an equal opportunity podcast entertainment venue.
They
So
just
we'll
want to talk
take
about
anybody.
bodybuilding.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
All right, here's a bodybuilding question for you. We're so terrible. And what are you doing? What are you not working at 11 o'clock on Thursday? John, when you go to the Olympia, what bodybuilder there do you want to take a picture with? Do you have your heart set on taking a picture with?
Probably you.
Competing.
Oh, competing.
Yeah, let's see. Actually,
None?
I always feel
I'm
weird about
thinking,
taking
I'm
pictures of
thinking.
people.
We do
Probably
interviews.
Samson. I would like my picture taken with Samson.
All right, there you go.
I'll admit
All right.
that. Either
Fair.
him
All
or
right.
Nick Walker or Samson. I like.
Are you going to put in a caption that you helped him get ready for the show? Like you gave him
No,
advice?
no, I'm going to pull a George Farah. I'm going to stand up during prejudging and I'm going to go, that's it, bro, tighter. Yeah, to the left, flex your glutes.
That's it.
Blow out the air. That's what and then, because then everybody's going to think I worked with them and I don't have to spend any money, proving that.
Well,
then you can
just
get on
tell, look,
stage.
bro. Just make sure you flex your legs on stage, right? And when you take the picture with him, then you're like, see, I told you he's flexing his legs. I knew it. He took my advice. That's how it goes, though. That's how nutty some of these people are.
Yeah.
Is that guy blasting us right now, Zach?
A little bit, yeah. He says that if it's a show about bodybuilding, you have the worst representatives for it. And I said it's not a show about bodybuilding.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
we talk about bodybuilding because some people in the chat want to talk about it, but we also talk about
Streaking.
anything. Yeah, we talked about streaking. We've talked about
What's this guy's name? I can't see it.
the Real Report. He's real,
okay.
and it's 5 p.m. where he lives in Norway. And no, it's not a bodybuilding show. But
I like Norway. Norway's a good. I love Norway. Well,
Yeah.
look, you know what? What makes anybody a good representative to talk about what bodybuilding? I was a pro judge for IFBB pro judge for 20 years. I competed. John competed. We both wrote for the top bodybuilding magazines in the industry. We've both been on the covers of them. Zach has run Muscle and Fitness for bodybuilding and AMI. I mean, I don't
Books.
know. If you want to have Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, and Dennis James, and get the hell off the channel. We
Yeah,
talk
man.
about everything. What do you want from us?
Go watch DJ's show.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. And I love
Yeah.
Norway, buddy. Norway's
Norway's a
is
great.
awesome.
I love Norway too. It's a great country. Really
Yeah.
well run.
it's also,
Always good.
we also get guests when we can from time to time. Everybody, we've had Nick Walker. We had, who else was there? We've had Jacqueline Baker. We've had Kenny
Max
Santucci.
Charles.
Yeah. We've had Max Charles. We've had Steve Weinberger. Listen, it depends. Like we'll jump around. Like right now it makes sense, to talk about
Yeah.
bodybuilding, right? Because the Olympia is right around the corner.
There's no point in interviewing anybody from Mr. Olympia right now because they're going to interview everybody at the show
yeah.
10 times. So it's like, what's the point? And if you want, go on Mr. Olympia. If you follow them, go watch the Derek Lunsford interview I did. It has a couple of 100,000 views and everything else. And go on John on RX Muscle.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty more. But if you want to talk about putting synthol in your penis, we're probably where you're going to get that information.
We're the
'Cause-
ones talking about that shit. Yeah.
I feel as though because I love Norway that we should give him a bodybuilding question right now, John. John, what is the difference between the pros of the '90s of the Olympia stage and the current lineup at the 2024 Olympia? Are they bigger? Are they more defined? Please explain.
I don't think any of them went to Norway. I don't think none of them competed in Norway. But anything could happen.
all right. Here's his question. All right, real
What
report.
Mr. Olympia had the worst legs?
Let's field. Okay, he's got a question for us. Let's take it. Right. Okay. It says, I heard natural guys should train their whole body 3 times a week and 3 meals a day. But what are you talking about? Like, is that for real? Is that a real question? Are you talking about competitors? Are you talking about just beginners? Because I believe lots of studies do say that beginners that train their whole body do get stronger faster, but it depends. Like, are you trying to build a foundation for something? Are you trying to look good naked? Are you trying to, what is it?
Yeah. What's the question? He's making a statement. He's not asking a question.
What's the
Do
goal?
they have question marks in Norway? I was just curious.
No,
just-
punctuation.
But what's the goal? Like,
What's
you
the
trying to put mass
question?
on? Yeah,
He says,
what's the goal?
he says, I have a question. And
Yeah, just what's your goal?
where's the question mark? I mean, there's no question.
That's true.
You know, when I was a teenager and we did that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, squat, deadlift, bench, workout. I trained with this weightlifter. We did the snatch and clean and jerks, like all powerlifting stuff. I put on like 15 pounds
Yeah.
in like 8 weeks. That was a seriously brutal thing. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're all doing like 6 compound movements, like 6 sets per movement, and you're natural. I don't recommend it, but it was something that we did.
I think in this day and age, you have to define natural. What does that actually mean? Because eating 20 chicken breasts a day is not natural. All right.
Natural
Going to
was-
the gym and lifting weights is technically not natural. So what do you mean? Do you mean not taking steroids, not taking anything illegal? Which country? I mean, what is natural? What exactly is
Well, I was natural. I was doing cold cuts and Entenmann's cakes. Does that count?
All right, so I got an update. He says he wants to get big, no drugs. Look, I mean,
eat and lift.
yeah, I mean, it's really it comes down to that. I bet. Yeah, if you're gonna get big, wouldn't you say that doing full body 3 times a week? That's if you're not really focused on specific body parts, are you really going to see the kind of growth that you're talking about? I don't think so.
I think it goes back to the analogy that nobody listens to me about because I use it all the time.
Oh, I hope
And
it's not the Holocaust one.
It's
Oh, God.
Arnold playing Conan on the turnstile. It's the same. I use this example all the time. Nobody gets it. The muscle growth is an adaptive response to. So if you're not creating stress, you're not giving the body a reason to adapt, which is grow muscle. So the turnstile that Conan had to push his whole life is the perfect example because as the other people and animals on the turnstile died and fell off, the load was transferred to those who were left. That's increased resistance. So ultimately, he was the only one left. He had to do the work of 15 people. What happens? He got big. So you do that in the gym. Just like Frankie said, power moves, big moves, heavy moves. If you're lifting heavy weight, your body's going to adapt by growing muscle. If you have the building blocks on board by virtue of a good diet, your body's going to be more apt and more able to utilize those amino acids and glycogen and whatever and build a muscle. But it doesn't matter how you stress your body. What matters is you stress it. So if it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, it doesn't matter. What matters is you stress your body to the point where you are forcing it to do something it cannot accomplish. And if you do that long enough, your body will respond by growing muscle. So however you want to do that, it doesn't matter. Just that's what you have to do.
If Zach, you and I walked into the gym and we saw Larry Wheels, Ronnie Coleman, and a 250-pound bodybuilder, and they were all squatting, and you'd say, wow, which guy is the strongest there. The 250-pound bodybuilder, the Ronnie Coleman with the gigantic legs in his prime, or Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels, right? 900-pound squat. So weight is all relative. It's how much you can do, because you can go in a gym, train with your partner, and you could maybe you lift 200% more than he does or she does, right? Or maybe 50%. It's all relative in what you use. But like John said, you have to create that response. And
Right.
going through the motions, your workout says three sets of 12, 10, 8. Now, if you're like 12, 10, 8, and getting it, like it's butter, and you're not, you should be like,
Right.
you should be
You should
and
need help
you
with the
know,
last three, right?
Right.
exactly. Yeah. I
But
mean, and then what we did in the past is like, if Zach was benching 225 and we recorded 10 reps, you took 2.5, you took the potato chips and you put it on the end, and you did 230, and then you did
Yep.
235. And people are like, why are you wasting your time? Well, in 3 months' time, that 225 was like 240
Right.
for like 10 reps. So it's even that small incremental jump was really important. It's tracking everything down
Yep.
too, but you really have to push yourself.
What we
dude,
used to
I'll tell you,
do is, all right,
John, I
sorry.
always wanted to say this. It's like what Frank was saying before. So when I told John the other day I had to do my mile jump rope for my death race thing, which Frank was
Yeah.
kind enough to share. Listen, I started to warm up, and I'm like, all of a sudden, before I know it, I'm doing a bunch of trap bar deadlifts. I'm doing a bunch of lunges. And then I have a full blown workout. Then I realize I still have to do that jump rope mile. Dude, I am crazy sore today and yesterday from doing that, because it was such a stress that I put on myself, not realizing that I could have probably been okay without all of the other volume.
Yeah.
But but that's what you do. You go for it. But I feel good now. Now, you know what? I got to implement more of that. So that's the other thing I realized, is that I could push myself way harder. I'm paying for it, but you gotta keep pushing, dude.
Yeah,
I,
man.
I want to go back to what Frankie said about the potato chips. What we used to do back in the day, you work, train at Gold's Gym, doing bench presses. What do? 135, 225, 315. You just keep stacking, and you're basically doing the same thing every week. You're just running up the pile until you reach your max, and then that's it. What we used to do is, okay, now do the same workout, but you put the 1.25, 1.75. You put
Yeah.
those on first, right? Then you stack up the plates. You do the exact same workout, only you started with the potato chip on the inside. A couple weeks goes by, then you go to the 2.5, instead of the 1.25, and you
There
do it.
was, yeah,
You know what I mean? So you've incrementally, you're doing the same
absolutely.
basic workout, but you've incrementally added a small amount of weight each time. And that, like you just said, you go from 225 to 240, and it was almost effortless, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
There was a friend who was playing college football. He went into his freshman year. So his friend gave him a chart, and it was a chart basically, and everyone's seen this: 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2.
Right.
Those are the reps going across the top. And basically 225, 250, like what you can do and what you're expected for each lift, for each amount of reps. And they posted on the wall. And I'll never forget this. Right next to that chart was the D-ball chart of take 2 D-ball this week, 3 D-ball, 4 D-ball, 5 D-ball, 6 D-ball, 5, 4, and then taper it off. I'm like, so it was like squat, bench, deads, D-ball. And this kid started in the summer. I'll never forget, he started in June. He was 175. By August, going into camp, he was 230. Like, just puffed up and everything else. But it was just so funny. Like, here's your workout and here's your D-ball chart. Right? Is
Wow.
that the 90s or what?
I remember that so vividly. I
Right?
remember
John,
that
you're so blurry,
so.
John. By the way, you're so crazy
Why
blurry.
did that happen?
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
You're a werewolf.
I don't know.
It's
I don't know why
all
it's
right.
doing that.
Still look
How do we-
handsome to me.
It's the beard.
Wait, so
Yeah,
what
it's
is
better,
D-ball? Can
right?
somebody explain? Oh, there you go. What is D-ball?
Diana ball.
Diana Ball. Okay, listen, I'm sorry I didn't know it. Jesus, I mean,
Listen, you're the worst representative for bodybuilding, bro.
I know. I don't know shit about especially the drug portions of it. I don't know.
You don't know what D-ball is?
What's up, Roger? Oh, you know what?
You're a
Let's go back to
terrible
that first question.
representative.
Let's go back to the first question because Roger just chimed in. Roger, your name came up earlier.
What's up, Roger?
Somebody said there is a rumor that a big name is dropping out of the Olympia. It's going to shake up the entire landscape. Worlds will crumble and maybe not all that, but have you heard of anybody that's going to drop out? Somebody said it could be Andrew Jack. Somebody said it could also be, who was the other one that they said? Nick Walker. I also announced that I thought the big announcement was going to be me not going into the Mr. Punyverse this year. I am not doing it. So if you were showing up for that, it's not going to happen. But if you know Roger, please let us know.
I think it would be Nick Walker to create the biggest shakeup because he missed last year. So
yeah, could be. But
you know that any Mr. Olympia can compete. They're qualified for life.
Yep.
I did not know that.
If I was Lee Haney, I'd just go in. Like, you know what I mean? Just go in. Right? Wouldn't it be cool? Like, if you're like, that's like a movie. Like, is that like Rocky 37? Like, you're 70 years old. The back don't work anymore. We can't squat. We're going to have to use one of these Panada equipment machines. Get ready for the show.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Women weekend walkers.
Well, look, my thing is this: if Roger doesn't know, then I don't know. Then maybe it's just a rumor after all. Mom says after watching some of these guys prep in their videos, I'm surprised more of them don't get hurt. What do you mean by that? Do you mean they're surprised they don't get hurt because of how they're training, the weights they're like? What is
terrible form they're using?
Is it the form? Yeah, I'm curious.
Ligament that would snaps.
Mean. Right.
Well, yeah, but we've talked about that too, right? Where listen, I was training the other day, and I was just hanging because I wanted to do some pull-ups, and man, my shoulder is super jacked. And I tried to do some pull-ups, and it was the worst looking form ever. So anybody, if it would have been a social media thing, Frank, trust me, it would have been hammered because anytime Frank puts up anything, somebody finds some way to critique it. So they would have seen this.
Form cops.
Yes.
Form cops. The guy the other day,
form cops.
He goes, someone teach Frank how to do a pull-up. And I'm like, I have torn bicep. I said, that's why I don't do the full motion. This is what he's like, well, you're using an awful lot of weight doing pull downs. And then I'm like, well, pull downs vastly different from a pull-up. So I'm like, I send them to Block Island. So on the protein, because I'm not going to sit there and answer on the protein treat, we get a message, and Jose is cracking up on our customer service thing. I'm like, what? He goes, so and so says Frank called me an asshole on Instagram and blocked me. I can't believe I'm supporting his protein treats, but they're so damn good. He's like, who'd you call an asshole? I go, could have been anybody. That's definitely a form cop,
But yeah, but at the same time, I wanted to do them, so I was trying to do it, even though it hurt a little bit. But that's what I mean. Like I think she actually specified training during depletion, but
I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Look, when you do hot yoga, you get rid of a lot of your electrolytes, and it's tough, So I can imagine when you're in that state. But I think John, but like when you start the real tough cut, you're pretty much done with lifting weights at that point, right?
Last week, it pretty much. Yeah, I would have them do, if the show was on Saturday, I would have like them go to maybe Wednesday. Monday would be a push workout, Tuesday would be a pull workout, and Wednesday would be legs, and then that's it until no cardio. Cut the cardio, cut everything until Saturday. That way your muscles get, depleted to the point where once you fill them up with glycogen and get a pump, it's slightly more, visually better. So that's where that comes from.
And is this a time period where those people, specifically in this depleted state, are going to have, they're going to be in some pretty shitty moods? Like it's going to be really tough to to talk to them, or are they past that point?
It's
It depends.
Frankie, you know the answer to that.
Look, man, it depends. Like you go backstage at the show, like pre-judging, and you look at everybody's face, and some of them are like just totally skull depleted, and you're not gonna sit there and talk about the Magna Carta with them. Like, they're not gonna have, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not gonna have. They're in the zone. Like think about if you are doing the what do you call it that diet where you're fasting for 10 hours or 8 hours a day, and then you eat ho-hos and everything else in an hour or whatever you have that window to eat. Now think about being a bodybuilder or even in the UFC when they're going through that depletion, how rough that is
Yeah.
mentally and physically on you. That's tough.
Did you see that
So
the lady that was on the scale and was like, she ended up winning, but like she was so, her cut was so
yeah.
hard, she was like
Yeah.
shaking and like needed help, and then bounces back and whoops on her opponent. So just, oof. But it looked bad at
Like,
first. I was spooked that she's gonna
what do
fall
you
over.
weigh, Zach? Like
Buck
you weigh
buck 85.
So think about if you were like Roberto Duran back in the day, the boxer who had to cut to like 145 and you had to lose 30 pounds in a month, like those type of cuts
Gosh.
for boxers and stuff. And like,
Oof, that's
and
rough.
then that's gonna be rough on you, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I worked with a few boxers, and man, their ability to go to that depletion stage is, you're talking about wearing a rubber suit and a sauna and doing jumping
Yeah.
jacks and starving and spitting all your water, your spit out to get dry, and lower the weight so you make that cut. Then you got 24 hours at least before the fight.
Yeah.
So man, you start mainlining glycogen, and you end up with a guy who weighs 10 pounds more than the weigh-in, who's super strong now because he's all filled up and ready to go, versus the guys that are still trying to starve themselves into making weight. So I don't know. I think if you're gonna, I think the weigh-in should be 5 minutes before the fight, and then it's realistic. But if
Yeah,
not,
Matt wants to know. There's two questions that then we'll wrap. What do you mean they would be in shitty moods because they're hungry? Yeah, they're hungry. They're really
Yeah.
hungry
really
because they're
hungry.
trying to be, and also as dry and as peeled as
It's
possible, especially going into the show. And then you got to travel, and then just sounds horrible.
Frankie,
people
what do you? I'm sorry.
depletion of water too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
What do you
Plus
think
the
of the press
nervousness.
conference? Meet the Olympians, the press conference, all that stuff going on before the show. I mean, every time. I mean, I've been to 100 of them between all the different shows there are. The guys and girls that are participating in that, not one of them looks like they want to be there. They're miserable, absolutely miserable. And you got them in a suit or a warm up, or they're just miserable. And wouldn't it make more sense to do that after the show? Like most sports have press conferences, it's usually after the event.
I think because after the event on Sunday, everybody's gone already, because they got to be back at work by Monday,
Right.
right? Like they're coming on Friday and,
Yeah.
travel times around the country. But look, I understand but they're only there for like 2 hours. It's
I
like
would
they
do it
could
right.
stand in their room for 2 hours, or you see them sitting. Like, I mean, it depends if they had them doing an obstacle course or something, but they're just standing there,
Right.
to a point. But look, we go. I would just think, as far as like people like Andre Ferguson, I got the spit in my eye that time, standing there. And, and it was sick for 17 days, but, but I don't know. Like, are you going to get your immune system's compromised at that point,
Right.
on
That's
that
what it is.
Thursday? I don't know. But
All right.
yeah, I mean, they could stand there for I don't think anybody wants to be anywhere when they have their eyes on the prize,
No.
right?
No, but I mean, if you did it like in other sports where you had the press conference immediately after the competition,
They
you know,
don't. The UFC, they do it before. They do the morning before, and then you have what do you call it? The Super Bowl too is all day interviews. These guys they're like, all right, from Jordan, from Egypt, from, United States of America. They have to sit there for hours and do
True,
press.
true.
So I don't know, but yeah, I know what you're saying from a physical and mental standpoint. It's
Yeah.
difficult because they're in that
I,
depletion.
I
But
just think from a fan involvement standpoint, if the guy's fed and happy, he's going to be a much more
yeah,
affable and willing to talk and take pictures and all of that instead of. I mean, there's a couple of them when you go to the press conference or meet the Olympians that are kind of up for it, but the majority of them, every one of them has that look on his face. I don't want to be here,
mm,
and you can't blame them. I mean, I wouldn't
No.
want to be there. None of us would want to be there.
No, no. As you said, if it's what you have to do to get on
Right.
stage to try to make some money. Like it's one, it's what you just got to do. The last question, because I got to jump. I have to get getting my hair cut before this strong New York, so I look like
Wow.
quasi human being.
what are you
Instead
gonna
of
do?
this
What
capers.
What are you gonna do with the hair? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna trim it. I basically here's what I say to the person because she comes. She's right. She's my neighbor. I just say, can you make me look like a human as best as possible? Because there's no fixing this. But if you can make me look semi human, then I feel like that's a good thing. Plus, if my wife doesn't barf, then I feel like it's a success.
Accomplished.
But
Yeah, yeah.
the last question is this, and I feel like this has been asked before, is what they want to know what happened to Romano's Fame and Fortune podcast with Gaspari, and when is it coming back?
It's not coming back. Richie was just in a position with his company where he just could not, between his travel schedule and his requirements, he just couldn't consistently make the time to you can't miss. I mean, with
Yeah.
podcasts, you got to do as many as you possibly can. You got to work every single day, and if you miss, you go down the algorithm. So you have to keep doing it. And if you miss 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, because he's in another country or whatever, can't get an internet connection, you just can't do it that way. So I finished my job over there and left, and I thought we were going to keep doing the podcast, and Richie just could not commit to the time. So if he could have, I thought it was a great show. I thought a lot of people liked it. A lot of people like him. He's a great personality. But if you can't commit if you can't be there every single solitary week, then you can't do it. RX Muscle, the main show, we've never missed in 15 years. We haven't missed one show. We've recorded on Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays. Doesn't matter. We do the show.
Oh, yeah, not me. I'm not that dedicated.
We're in the Howard Stern.
Flag Day.
Like
I gotta
Howard
go.
Stern, 2 shows a week.
It's like if it's Flag Day, that's my excuse. I'm like, how am I supposed to concentrate knowing I can go study all the flags from around the world? Like this is crazy. Well, listen, what about a spinoff? How about Fame and Misfortune? Then he can't get upset with you and you can do with somebody else. So it's not the same.
I liked it. That's a good one.
All right.
Strong New York.
Well, yeah, we're going to be at Strong New York on Saturday, Frank and I. And then John, Frank, and I will all be at the Olympia in Las Vegas, Nevada. What is it? I forget, the 10th through the 14th or something like that? Is that?
I'm going 10th through the 13th.
10 through 13.
Yep.
All right. Well, then that's, I think, what I'm going to. But we'll also be back next week. So listen, you can come tell us how terrible we are, or you can come contribute to the conversation or throw out questions, drop rumors, anything like that, because it makes it fun. And for those who actually do like hanging with us, thank you for all the comments, and we do appreciate